Katie Joy, spilled a bunch of tea. And I don't like that lady, but she's one of Christie's minions for the longest. And she spilled some tea, and she got mad because Gypsy didn't want to have anything to do with her, obviously. So now she's flipped. It's funny how people do that when Gypsy turns their back on them or whatever. People flip. It's like they want this and they want that. And then when Gypsy turns on them or says, like, I don't want you involved, they turn on. And that's one thing I don't want to do is, me and Gypsy aren't together anymore, but those feelings we had shared were real.
So what's up? How's your day going?
Ryan called me. He's like, guess what I found out today? I said, what? That you've been talking about since late February. I'm like,
wow.
Oh. And then I'm like, so are you going to subpoena my text messages? He's like, yep. Oh my God, he's blowing my freaking up again.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, July 29th, 2024. It's been a week since the last episode of Gypsy-Rose Blanchard's docu-series or reality show. It wasn't really a documentary. It was for sure a reality show aired. And over the weekend, Lifetime actually released an extended clip that had not been seen in the episode. And what it did was it shook the narrative that Gypsy-Rose Blanchard is trying to put out that she didn't leave Ryan for Ken. It shook the narrative that the reason why she left him was because she was feeling controlled. She was feeling stifled. She was feeling smothered. It shook the narrative that he was insecure and constantly bringing up Ken, because what it did was it exposed that once Christy reached out to Ken and Gypsy heard from her stepmother that Ken had a different reason for why he left Gypsy, claiming he wanted her to live her life and didn't want to hinder her development. He didn't want to be the reason why she couldn't have a normal life. Gypsy reached out to him, and she and Ken started an, I would call, an emotional affair in February. And that for more than a month before she left Ryan, she was already in the process of getting back together with Ken. And that Ryan's behavior and his responses to her behavior was warranted because she was cheating on him. Even if it was through a text message, she was. Ryan went on live over the weekend and he was upset at Ken. Rather than actually being upset at Gypsy, he was upset at Ken and at Christy. He was claiming that Christy was trying to ruin his marriage, which I don't agree with her interfering in the marriage, by the way. And he was mad at Ken for not having a job. Check it out.
Gypsy's pregnant, right? Why doesn't the dude have a job? Does the dude have a job yet? Like, Ken, you got a job yet? I mean, you held a job and you lost it? And you quit or something? Like, what's the deal? Get a job, bruh. You think you about to be a daddy, but you ain't got no damn job? What a joke. You just gonna live off Gypsy forever? But dude's a punk. Dude's a punk. Get a job. Probably still asking Gypsy to pay your rent, huh? Ken is watching the live. Good for him. Tell your woman to quit calling me, Ken. Oh! Mother. Sorry, just couldn't help it. I had to be that. I had to do that. Just a joke. Or am I? No, just a joke.
The irony here is that during the season, Gypsy was told to get off social media and delete her social media, and Ryan got mad at her and said that that was revenue, and he didn't want her to get off of social media because it was making her money. It was her job. Now, she had to have a job as a stipulation of her parole, but she was filming a show, which was the job. She didn't need to do social media other than to make more money. She was making a good amount of money on that show. So really, she didn't need to have a social media job. She just wanted to. And it was obviously giving them more money to do more things and get more free stuff. However, Ryan does have a job, or at least he does right now. He might, if he continues this behavior online, get fired. He's already been fired once for what's been going on with Gypsy. He was fired from a job as a teacher because of marrying her, and she has a conviction for unaliving people, and the school district apparently didn't like that. And now he's working as a special ed teacher, and he's saying things like that online, which isn't good for a teacher, right? Regardless, instead of getting mad at Gypsy, he's mad at Ken. It's like, instead of getting angry with who he should be angry with, because it was Gypsy who made the decision to go back to Ken. It was Gypsy that was the one that decided to have an affair. It was Gypsy was the one that told Christy that she was using Ryan for housing. It was Gypsy that had on the show said that Ryan was a rebound, that she never should have married. I mean, those are Gypsy's words, and he just chooses not to believe it. Like, he also said, I wasn't a rebound. Gypsy didn't use me. Gypsy wants to get back together with me, or she would if she wasn't pregnant. And he also said that in the live too. I will share this with you, is that Gypsy is playing both sides. I mean, I think it's clear she's playing both sides. I shared a text message with you all last week about how Gypsy got in a fight with Ken. When she was in the fight with Ken, she made the decision to contact Ryan and let Ryan know that she missed him and loved him and was having second thoughts. And then when he responded to her by saying that he loved her and missed her, she then threw it back in his face and saying, don't use some vulnerable moment I had with you and say that I want you back. That was just a vulnerable moment. Like, she instigated the feelings, called him, made him think there was a chance, and then when he reciprocates, she acts like he's crazy. It's deflection, it's projection, it's just, she's a narcissistic person with antisocial behavior, in my opinion. So instead of getting mad at her, he gets mad at Ken because she's pitting Ken and him against each other. But Ryan and Ken are both benefiting financially off of Gypsy, regardless of who you like or dislike in the situation. And I can't believe there are literally two men that are fighting over a woman that unalived her mother in such a very, very brutal way. And it's very difficult for me to understand why either one of them would have interest in her. Because of why? She's famous, because she has money, she's infamous. And I can't imagine also having a child with this woman, knowing the history that this woman has, her mental illness, her mom's mental illness, the lack of experience she has, her lack of compassion, empathy, whatever. But the guys are fighting online, and he's also throwing shade at Christy, who he claims he could see through her, and he felt like she was meddling in his relationship. I agree with Ryan that Christy was meddling. I agree. I also agree that Christy was trying to get them to break up. I agree with that. But I also think that Gypsy will do what Gypsy wants. And I think that Gypsy always wanted Ken. But I also think that if Ken and her don't work out, she'll run back to Ryan. And so Ryan is continuing to defend her online, even though she is not being kind to him on the show, even though she's humiliating him by getting pregnant with another man's child while she's still married. They are not legally divorced. And Ryan literally just got served this month. So they won't be divorced until January, meaning she might still be legally married when she gives birth. Ryan and her have contracts together for the show and for the book. Not only did she use Ryan for housing, but in order to bypass Son of Sam laws, she also had Ryan sign contracts with her with Lifetime along with the book publisher so that she could avoid getting sued because he'll be the one that's getting paid. At least that's how I understood it, allegedly, because according to TMZ last week, his lawyer said they still need to get through the contracts and the joint assets that they have and the contract disputes that they have, because he was on a contract with her with Lifetime and on the books. The way that they've tried to get around these Son of Sam laws is just so abhorrent. No one should be profiting off of this. Gypsy should not be profiting off of this. But what I think is interesting in all of this is that he goes so hard to bat for her when Lifetime puts out video, an extended clip of her basically saying and laughing about the fact that she was cheating on him. And she's laughing at the fact and finding joy in the fact that she was unfaithful, that she went behind his back. And she's reveling in the drama by trying to bring Ken into it, who doesn't appear as interested as she does. And he tells her to just block him and just not talk to him because all they do is fight. And then she yells about how he's blowing up her phone when he literally finds out that she was cheating on him and had been cheating on him for months. And she thinks it's funny, right? She actually thought, I can tell you this, that the narrative was going to be that she just needed space. She told me in a text message that the agreement between her, Ryan, and the network, that the narrative for their split would be that she needed space, that she was feeling like smothered and needed space to grow. That was what they agreed the narrative would be. For that agreement, they agreed that Gypsy's fight with Ryan, where he allegedly stormed her and she had to hide in a closet, which if they had that footage, I can't believe they wouldn't show that, right? I don't believe they filmed it. If it happened, maybe, but if they filmed it, it would be on the show because that would make for incredible ratings. She claims that they didn't show that clip because she wanted to protect Ryan. And she also said, but I made mistakes too. I think the clip never happened. And I think they stuck to that narrative because I think she didn't want it to come out that she and Ken had been cheating. I think she wanted to stick to the narrative that she just needed space and agreed to let go of this quote unquote supposed fight, which I don't know if it even happened. And frankly, if an argument between the two of them did happen and it escalated between Gypsy and Ryan, I could completely see it happening. I could see both of them losing their tempers. And maybe he said something in there that she didn't want the public to hear. Maybe it had to do with this infidelity issue. And so she tells me, no, we agreed to cut that out of the show because I made mistakes too. But what then does Lifetime do? Lifetime then still finds a way to reveal that the reason why they actually split had nothing to do with him being controlling, nothing to do with him being possessive or whatever it was. It was because he knew she was cheating on him. He had reason to believe she was cheating on him, and he found proof of her cheating on him. No matter how Gypsy tries to shift narratives, control narratives, and tell lies, her lies are always catching up with her. And this is one of the many reasons why I had to cut ties, because when I saw that final episode and when I saw that clip, she lied to me about that. They told me that she had not had any contact with Ken at all while she was married to Ryan. That's what she told me. That's what Christy told me. There was no contact with Ken whatsoever. And they believed that that secret would never get out. Because like Mia, who doesn't agree with infidelity and doesn't agree that Ken respected the marriage, I didn't either. I don't think it's appropriate for a man to approach a married woman and try to get back together with his ex while she's still married. Have some respect for marriage. If you're going to get her this way, you're going to lose her this way. You lose them how you get them. Isn't that what they always say? So while Ryan is going off about all of this stuff, he's being strung along by Gypsy and he's picking fights with Ken online. And then Ken is sending roses to Ryan. That's why he got heated. Ken sent him a rose while he was on the live. So Ken is trolling Ryan, instigating all of this. And then Ryan reacts, and then Gypsy will get fuel to say, see, this is why I can't trust Ryan. This is why I need something in my divorce. And I have to say this, they're in court right now. At least they had a court date hearing at 9 a.m. I don't know how long the hearing will go, related to incidental matters in their divorce. So it just doesn't really surprise me that if it was Ken or if it was Gypsy, someone provoked Ryan to pop off. And then they're in court this morning. It feels very manipulative and it feels like a tactic to get him on something. Gypsy doesn't do anything without purpose and motive. Over the weekend, crime scene photos were revealed and leaked all over Facebook. Now, I want to be clear, the crime scene photos related to the unaliving of Dee Blanchard. Some of them have been public, not all of them, for years. Some of them have been circulating on Reddit and on Facebook. I don't agree with the fact that any of these photos are circulating on social media. I think it's really disrespectful to the victim in the crime. It doesn't matter what people think about Dee. She was a victim, and the brutality that she experienced, no one should have to go through. And the Photographs included very, very, very compromising photos of her mom's body, unclothed, that no one ever should see. These photos were all uploaded to a Google Drive by April Johns, aka Fancy Maselli, the blogger that Gypsy and Christy sued. Some have asked me, has my opinion changed about Fancy? And my answer is no. Because Fancy has a belief that we're supposed to ignore everything that Dee Dee did to Gypsy. And we can say that some stuff that she went through was needed. Some of her surgeries were needed, like with her eyes, because she had an eye condition, and she still has an eye condition. However, some of the stuff that Dee Dee put her through, she didn't need. There's documented proof she didn't need it. There's literally doctors that have gone on record and said she didn't need. There are doctors that have literally apologized on camera to Gypsy, stating they failed her. Multiple doctors have come forward and literally spoken about what happened and have admitted they should have done more due diligence. Dee Dee did perpetuate a fraud. She used her daughter for fraud. She also had her daughter have to go along with the fraud. At some point, when she's 18, she becomes aware of her real age, Gypsy, and she then becomes complicit and a partner in the fraud. And she becomes a conspirator in the scheme of the fraud because she knows she's not sick. But as a child, I hold no responsibility for her. I do hold a level of responsibility for her as an adult. I don't respect Fancy because it's irresponsible to discount what Dee Dee did and say that she didn't do these things to Gypsy. However, even if she did those things to Gypsy, Gypsy had no excuse to take the steps that she took to unalive her mother. Gypsy could have left. She could have stood up and walked. She could have packed a bag. She could have called police. She could have handled it any other way. But Gypsy, in my opinion, I don't think she was motivated by wanting a way out from the abuse. I think she was motivated by revenge. I think she was angry that her mom didn't like her boyfriend. And I think her mom was killed over the love triangle of her wanting to be with Nick and her mom not allowing it. And so now when I watch this love triangle that's happening right now between Gypsy, Ryan, and Ken, I get scared because the last triangle she was in, one of those people ended up dead. And she convinced one of the people to unalive that person. I hope these two men have more sense in their bones than to ever be manipulated to do that or even think it's an option. But I don't think Gypsy's learned, and I think if Gypsy was capable of doing what she did once, she's capable of doing it again, because it's clear to me she hasn't been reformed, and that's my opinion. So I'd love to know what your thoughts are about all of this. Leave me some comments, and let me know if you're on either team or if you are as concerned as me. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Bye, everyone.